The NFL has some of the highest salaries ever for their star quarterbacks, and the Baltimore Ravens might have stumbled a bit when they didn't give Lamar Jackson the contract he wanted. He's going to get a 2023 contract, and he wants it Watson and Cousins level big. In this video, we'll be taking a look at how Lamar Jackson turned down the Baltimore Ravens offer, so stay tuned. First off, Lamar Jackson won't be re-signing with the Baltimore Ravens at 26. Lamar Jackson will be 26, meaning that the next season will be the apex of his abilities and will give him the power to demand a trade and even increase the value proposed by the revenue and maybe even actually receive a contract with the value fully guaranteed at signing. For now though, the deadline has passed with negotiations still at a stalemate. Eric DeCosta, the Ravens GM, said that they had tried their best, and so had Lamar, yet they hadn't been able to reach a contract extension. He also stated that despite that, he appreciated how the quarterback handled the process. He refuses to make a deal until next season, and DeCosta seemed hopeful that their attempts to work towards a long-term contract after the end of this season would be successful. For now, Lamar is settling to see how the season plays out on his fifth-year option and making $23 million. Something that's making these negotiations much harder than they should be is the fact that Deshaun Watson was the first person to get a fully guaranteed contract. It was something groundbreaking, and even Steve Biscotti admitted that he wasn't so sure Deshaun was the best person to give the first contract to. It's making negotiations harder, as someone like Lamar, who doesn't have the aid of an agent and has to handle these talks himself, and would probably find a safe haven in fully guaranteed contracts. He even admitted it was a really big risk to play without a contract, and he was glad that nothing out of the many things that could have gone wrong actually did. Next up, Lamar refused the Ravens because he wants a Watson and Cousins level contract. There has to be some point on Sunday when the owner of Baltimore Ravens, Steve Biscotti, finally admitted to himself that he'd made a grave mistake. Maybe this was when Lamar Jackson dropped a touchdown toss to Devin DuVernay, 25-yard and right into the bucket, a kind of throw that only some of the league's best can make. Or it could have been when the quarterback hit Rashad Bateman in stride for a 55-yard score. It was probably when he rounded out his incredible collection of the opening week touchdown with the no-look pass against the New York Jets. The star quarterback and the Ravens have been stuck at a stalemate for some time now. It's been 2 years, and by far, no one's contracts haven't met both parties' standards. At least one of them is opposed to the terms. Lamar is seeking a contract that the likes of Deshaun Watson and Kirk Cousins had the luck of receiving from Cleveland and Minnesota, respectively. The Ravens didn't agree to these terms and instead offered him a $250 million extension with $133 million guaranteed at signing. The extension would have run through 2027. The Ravens are at a disadvantage here, or at least they'll be soon enough. If Lamar keeps up his high-level plays, soon enough, he'll be heading to the next season with an unusual amount of leverage. Thirdly, the Ravens went for the safest route considering athletes' drop in abilities. The Baltimore Ravens have nothing to scoff at because those at the helm use proper analytics to weigh the pros and cons of every move they make. Their general manager, Eric DeCosta, has paid big money on positions that are usually pretty undervalued, including safeties, tight ends, and centers. On the other hand, he's been hesitant regarding the most major positions in the league, like the left tackle and wide receiver, including the ever-famous quarterback. He's very aware and knows that even if there are many players who are playing even in their 40s, it has an effect. A lot of Lamar Jackson's value comes from his legs as a runner and jumper because opposing defenses can open the way for him to make low-percentage throws. The Ravens were simply worried about what they already know, that many players lose their perks with age. There are those like Ben Roethlisberger who adapted his play as he matured, and those like Cam Newton who retired at 33 as soon as his athletic advantage disappeared. But Jackson isn't deterred by the finished contract with his team. He's self-aware and knows that there are still several teams who'd pay him tons because there hasn't been a player as good as him with no scandals attached and easily available in the NFL, and age won't change that. After all, if Dolphins owner Steve Ross wanted 35-year-old Tom Brady enough to break NFL rules, what would others do for Lamar Jackson? Finally, Lamar Jackson's track record is nothing to scoff at. Lamar Jackson, the Ravens quarterback, is continuing to show that he has an unprecedented ability to yardage with both his arm and his legs. Jackson had 318 passing yards and 119 rushing yards in today's loss to the Dolphins. This was the 13th double-triple of his career. When a player records triple-digit yardage in two different statistical categories, it is called a double-triple. In the regular season, Jackson has done it 11 times, and in the postseason, he did it twice. In the history of the NFL, no one has come close to Jackson's record on double-triples. The second most double-triples in the NFL are by Michael Vick, having done 8. In his career, Vick played in 149 games to record those double-triples. Jackson did his 13th double-triple in the 63rd game of his career. No one in the NFL has over 4 double-triples other than Jackson and Vick. 25-year-old Jackson might end his career with dozens of double-triples. He has been playing this game as no other player has in its history. With stats like these, it's no surprise that Lamar Jackson expects to be paid his worth, especially if someone like like Deshaun Watson can get a contract with all those lawsuits too. It'll be interesting to see which teams score the big quarterback for their roster and how it'll change team dynamics. Now, in other news. First up, Tom Brady beats the Saints as the Dolphins and Jets score big wins. When the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won against the New Orleans Saints 20-10, it finally ended Tom Brady's 4-game losing run against the team. The Buccaneers are joined on 2-0 by the Miami Dolphins after they came from 21 points down in the fourth quarter to stun the Baltimore Ravens in one of a number of big comebacks on Sunday. The Arizona Cardinals came from 20-0 down at halftime to beat the Las Vegas Raiders in overtime, and the New York Jets scored 14 late points to beat the Cleveland Browns. A strong Atlanta Falcons finish was held off by the defending champions, the Los Angeles Rams. The Cincinnati Bengals were upset by the Dallas Cowboys in the last kick of the game. The San Francisco 49ers gained victory in their game with the Seattle Seahawks, but they lost their starting quarterback, while Russell Wilson was booed by his own fans, even though he led the Denver Broncos to a win against the Houston Texans. Brady's 4 straight defeats in the regular season against the Saints was the longest run of his career that he finally ended. Next up, how NFL Fantasy Football 2022 is doing this week. Trey Lance's season-ending injury shook things up for the 49ers. Now Jimmy Garoppolo will play under center for the 49ers. Michael Pittman Jr.'s absence in Week 2 left the Colts offense in a mess. Curtis Samuel tore it up once again for the Commanders in Week 2. Marca's Week 3 waiver wire rankings add pickups and QB and DST streamers for the NFL Fantasy Football season. The ranking contains the best options in free agency for players owned in less than 60% of leagues. The top 10 of the 2022 Week 3 waiver wire rankings in order are Garrett Wilson, Jacoby Myers, Carson Wentz, Jeff Wilson Jr., Darrell Williams, Noah Brown, Sterling Shepard, Greg Dortch, Jared Goff, and lastly, Damon Pierce. Finally, a quick look at NFL 2022's second week. The New England Patriots will attempt to avoid their first 0-2 start to a season since 2001 when they go against the Pittsburgh Steelers this Sunday. The Patriots lost 20-7 to Miami last week. On the other hand, the Steelers defeated Cincinnati 23-20. The matchup on Sunday will be the first New England versus Pittsburgh game since 1998 that won't be featuring Ben Roethlisberger or Tom Brady. 2.5 points favor New England in the latest NFL odds by Caesars Sportsbook. Other key NFL matchups include the Bears going against their nemesis, Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers, and the Bills and Titans clashing in one of 2 Monday Night Football games. That's a wrap for this video. Do you think Lamar Jackson will be able to score a big contract with another team? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.